What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Pens and Tea. My name is Carrie, and today we're using this fountain pen as a mic holder. I don't know why. I just felt like doing it, so we're doing it. Because this way I get to, keep the pen in question in constant focus, which seems pretty dope to me. So today we are finally talking about the PenVenture exclusive limited edition collaboration with Montegrappa called the Zero Chrysocolla. That's as fancy as I can get pronouncing that. Zero Chrysocolla. Zero Chrysocolla. Imagine a really fancy Italian accent to that, because that is their exclusive. One thing I want to say right off the bat, I did not pay for this pen. It was sent to me for free for a review, but I'm not being paid for the review, and I also will be sending this pen back. So just blanket statement that. But big thank you to Emmy from PenVenture for making this review possible. Another thing I will say right off the top is if you really like it, do head to their website, link in the description, because there's only 30 pens in total. Numbers 1 through 10 are with the gold nib, and 11 through 30 is with the steel nib, and this has been for sale for a little bit, so numbers are dwindling. So right off the top. So let's get started, shall we? Okay, so this pen is beautiful. The material is super cool. It's like a minty green with an ever so slight like shimmer to it. And I really like the material. It's so cool. It's so apparently Montegrappa has like a proprietary resin, which this is, and they call it Montegrappite, which is fancy. So why not? You know, if you're gonna have a fancy material, you might as well call it a fancy name. And I did not know that until I was doing some research for this pen. So it's made out of Montegrappite, which is basically their proprietary resin, but it's really cool. It like gives a depth of material without actually being like more, it's just 2D, but yet it makes it look like it has depth to it. And the longer I look at it, the more I find that I get sucked in by all the swirls. So I'm going to stop staring now. Otherwise, this review is going to come to a standstill. The steel nibs come from extra fine all the way up to 1.1, so extra fine, fine, medium, broad, and 1.1. And gold is the same, extra fine through 1.1. However, it does come with an extra premium for the cost. So without gold, so with the steel nib that it naturally comes with, the pen clocks in at 385 euros without VAT. And if you want the gold nib attached to that, it does add an additional whopping 275 euros for that gold nib, which brings it to 660 euros. So not cheap by any means. I personally have never used Montegrappa's gold nibs, so I cannot speak to whether or not that extra 275 euros is worth it, but I will say the steel nib on this is superb, and I have used many a Montegrappa steel nibs in my day, and they've all been great. So I have zero complaints with Zero Chrysocolla. I have zero complaints with the steel nib. So do I personally think that the gold nib is worth the extra 275? The answer is probably not, but I've never actually used it. So if you have anyone who's watching this used a gold nib from Montegrappa, let me know in the comment section down below if it is worth it. Because, yeah, spoiler for the writing sample, the nib's dynamite. The pen with the minty Montegrappite is adorned with a brushed aluminum for all of the finishes, which I really like. I'm glad they did the brushed finish because it offers sort of a matte finish without being matte. And I think if it wasn't brushed, it would be too much. Like it would just kind of like come right out into your face. And I really like the finial with their logo kind of under a piece of what looks like glass, even though I know it's not. It's just going to be plastic. But I love that their material is backladen in there. So I really like their finial. I also really like that Pen Venture has their logo right above Montegrappa clip. And I also really like Pen Venture's new designed logo. They did that a little while ago, and I like it quite a bit. And the decision to put the number for the limited edition, so this is 00 out of 30, because this is the prototype pen that Emmy gets before, basically to make sure that everything is right before the whole pen goes into production. I like that it's on the very bottom. So there's nothing really to distract you from the pen itself, which is great. I like the slim profile. It's a thin pen without being like obnoxiously thin. Like if you've ever used Platinum PTLA 5A1000, whatever the heck that those things are called, those pens are obnoxiously thin, or like a Pilot Knight, things like that. Those are obnoxiously thin. This one is not. It's thin, but still grippy enough for me. And it fits really nicely in my hand. I like the weight. It is a thinner pen, so it doesn't get in the way, but it's not heavy either, but does have some weight to it with the brushed aluminum, which of course is much lighter than their steel counterparts, but does obviously offer some more weight than just resin, and it's really good length in my hand. It does push to post, so you can absolutely do that. It does back weight it a little bit for me, but like I say in pretty much every video I've ever do, I'm super sensitive to posting my pen because I don't ever. So when I have it posted, that extra weight does seem to bother me more than it would bother most people. So I think if you had a little bit bigger hands, you'd probably want to post it and it would add a good chunk of weight. But for me, it's perfect to not have posted. And I like that quite a bit. The grip section is very nice. The threads are super slim, so I don't feel them at all, and there's a very smooth step up onto the actual body itself, so they really don't pose any annoyance whatsoever, and there's an ever so slight flare to stop your hand from slipping. And like the majority of Montegrappa pens, it is a standard international cartridge that comes in the pen, and it is a threaded unit, which is really nice as well. I like threaded cartridges because then I have no fear of it falling out when I'm, getting all the ink off of the pen itself. I can't stop staring at the material. It's so neat. I really like it quite a bit. It's unlike anything that I've ever used before as far as that material goes. It's something that especially has also grown on me too. When I first opened the box, I was like, oh, it's so cute. But the more that I use it, the more that I also enjoy it. And I think that's because the writing, the way that it feels while I'm writing also adds an extra level of pleasing quality to it, which we'll get to in just a moment. But yeah, I'm really happy with it. I'm really happy with it. I think a lot of the design is well thought out. A lot of the finishes is well thought out. It feels like a quality built pen in my hand, which I quite enjoy, especially at a higher cost. I will say Montegrappa is definitely towards the luxury end as far as pens go, so it's definitely not an entry-level pen price point. It's along the same lines, as any other luxury brand. So you are paying a little bit for the name, but you are also paying for the amount of time it takes to think out a pen like this. If I had any complaints, I would say that it takes too much to cap it. It takes 2 full rotations plus a little tiny extra. When I'm journaling with this, I don't have the problem. I did use this to take a lot of notes when I was playing a D&D game. And that did get a bit much with the capping. So it's not a quick note pen. It's more a sit and spend time with and use that way kind of pen. Just because of that capping, taking like 2 full rotations, which is stuff that I never used to like sweat when I was just getting into this pen. Sorry, not this pen, this hobby. But I think Visconti has ruined me with that, with the hook safe lock and the Lamy 2000 with like just the snap cap, because now if it takes any more than like 1 to 1.5 rotations, I'm like, why is that necessary? But that's just me. That's just my preference. I just give you guys the information and you do what you're going to do with that. So, yeah, I am going to flip this around though and talk more about the writing experience because that is really where it shines. Again, just quick reminder, check out the description below to see it on Emmy's website. He did also do a full review of this pen and provide more of the story about why and how he and Montegrappa collaborated to make this pen. And if you've never checked out any of his YouTube channel before, I would highly recommend. The quality of his videos are stellar. He's really personable, and I could not recommend him more. So yeah, I'm gonna stop rambling. Let's get into the writing sample. All right, friends and family, so the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. The ink for today is Robert Oster, Carbon Fire. Very lovely ink. And, of course, it is a medium steel nib. And what a beauty she is. Very, very smooth. This ink is not the super wettest of inks. It is a little on the drier side, but the pen definitely provides enough. I mean, look at that smear. The pen definitely provides enough flow for it to be on the wetter side, but a controlled wet. It's still not considered a fire hose by any means, but it is certainly on the wetter side of what I would consider an average flow. Reverse. Actually, it's very, very smooth. One of the more pleasant, actually, reverse writing. And you can probably get down to like an extra, extra fine. And it's pretty nice, actually. Probably, though, if you had like an ink that was not a super saturated ink like this one, then you probably wouldn't be able to see it as much. But because this is very saturated and does have a really nice red sheen to the ink, then that's probably why it works so well. As far as any flex goes, really there's none to be had. It's a fairly stiff nib. Let me just move the paper here a little bit. It's a fairly stiff nib, which I'm not mad at because it is very smooth. You do have a hint of feedback, but it's really not much. Now this is Tomoe River 52 GSM, so it is like top tier paper for smoothness, but this it's really, really nice. I will say, like, there's nothing that is like, oh my goodness, like this is the best nib I've ever written with. but I have never once had a single negative thought about this nib. I've never used Montegrappa's gold nibs, so I don't know what the difference, like whether it would be worth that pay bump to put a gold nib on here versus the steel nib that it comes with automatically. But I will say I don't think you're going to be disappointed by this steel nib at all. It's really nice. I've had this inked up now for probably, I think, about 3 or 4 weeks, roughly. Time just gets away from me sometimes, as it does us all. And I have never once had an issue. I've done several long journaling sessions, like I'm talking like an hour each, plus quick notes writing while I was doing a D&D game. Where I'm like, capping, uncapping, capping, uncapping. I will say that that's probably the hardest part about this pen with quick capping, is that you do need 2 full rotations and just a tiny smack. So it's not the super quickest of pens to cap, but this is solid. There's been no skips, no hard starts, no nothing. It is just solidly dependable and reliable and very nice. Yeah, there's really nothing bad I can say about this nib. It just writes phenomenally. So do I recommend it? Absolutely. Yes, unequivocally yes. If you can swing it, do it. And I really like the design of the nib as well. I think that's really pretty. Let me try and refocus. I really quite enjoy that a lot. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more like it every Monday and Friday and the occasional rando on Tuesday, do hit the subscribe button. If you want to help support me and what I do here, do check out the description below for my Patreon account. You will also then find Emmy's information, his Instagram, his website, so that you can pick this pen up for yourself as well. As far as today goes, it's June 2022, so hopefully by the time you watch this, this pen still exists. But if it doesn't, then have no fear. Emmy is just a solidly reliable guy. He continues to come up with special editions with different pen brands. So there will always be more for you to find. But guys, I appreciate you so much for sticking with me, watching this whole thing. And if you're still here, you are the reason I make these videos. And as always, I'll see you next time. Bye. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is time to thank all of my VIP and above patrons. This was filmed May 2nd, so if you don't see your name and you've just started supporting me, don't worry. It will appear as soon as I can update it. So we have Mr. Daniel Roddy, we have Elizabeth, Glenn Kelly, Joan Worthman, Brian Hunter, Aaron C., Luna Wolf Games, Bobby A. Bailey, Bass, Whaley Chang, Brian Law, Lucas Bell, Aubrey Madcore, Marissa Calvo, Eric Lineman, Jessica Chow, Stephen Baldwin, Carol Lowry, Michael Simon, Sean Sturdy, Catherine Molina, Robert Myers, Bianca Andrews, Bill Pemberton, Karen Epstein, Gretchen Peters, Subiwan Kenobi, which is just the best name. She's actually presidential tier, Bianca Andrews, digitaltent.tech, and McCall Bennett Lawrence. Thank you all, regardless of the tier you choose. You will never know how much it actually means to me that you support me, my content, and what I do here. Thank you, thank you, thank you.